welcome to Lay It Out, the No Bullshit Science podcast.
With extra bullshit.
I'm Kiri.
And I'm Alice.
And she's Demelza. Yay! Okay.
We need to stop being so proud of ourselves for doing that. It's getting a bit sad now. Everyone's just like, yeah, you can speak, well done.
No, but you fucked it up last time.
What did I do?
You forgot.
Oh, I forgot to talk. I forgot, yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry,
this
everyone.
is why we're proud of ourselves every time we get it right.
Yeah. Pat on the back. Anywho.
How are you?
I'm great.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm fine. My eyeballs are a bit sore, but I'm trying not to rub them because it's freaking out one of our guests.
Have you used any new lotions or?
No, I'm trying to think. I actually went to Boots today because we got our stipends today. So this is the first time we've been able to buy toiletries in about 2 weeks.
That explains the smell in the office.
No, I've clearly been stealing my housemate's shower gel. Come on, 101. Anyway, so sorry guys. So I was actually in Boots today and I bought all the new stuff today, but I haven't used any of it yet.
So what did you buy?
It's not toiletries, but I'm really excited about it. I got a new Tangle teaser, some lip balm, and I bought
Demelza's giving you a look. Can we find out why? Okay, we're gonna start talking about Alice's shopping list. We've been told off by Demelza because of how boring it is. It is pretty boring.
That's why I've stopped talking.
Okay,
Go on, you talk about something more
Okay, fine.
interesting.
What else did you buy?
I can't remember. There was one really interesting thing and now I can't remember what it was. Now we can talk about something more interesting. So, New Scientist Live.
Yeah, so our lab, the neuroscience side of my lab, we had a stall at New Scientist Live, which Demelza organised all by herself.
You go, Demelza.
What? With Kings. It was with Kings.
Except I helped to make the poster.
Did you? Oh yeah. You had some creative input.
I did. I advised.
Yeah, and it was really good. It's on every year at XL London. I would recommend if you live in London that you go. It's really fun. I made slime.
In your own stall or in a different
No, in
stall?
a different stall. There was a slime Olympic stall and I made some slime. And
Slime Olympics.
Yeah, you could do stuff with your slime, but I just don't want to do anything. Like you could see,
you could do stuff. That sounds so gross.
You could see like how far your slime would stick to the wall or how far it would stretch and stuff.
Okay.
But I didn't want to do that because everyone else was like 5 years old.
Yeah, okay. And then it was just you.
And then it was me making my slime.
Yeah.
So I made purple slime with rainbow glitters. So anyway, we had a stall. And we were doing brain boosting smoothies. So we had a smoothie bike, the ones where you pedal and it grinds up the blender for you.
Yeah.
And so we were making it with dark chocolate and almond milk because almonds have polyphenols. So does dark chocolate. And we were also putting it in berries.
Question.
Yes.
Was there fish oil?
No. That's disgusting.
It's disgusting, but it should be in there.
We did have omegas though. From flaxseed and chia seeds.
Okay, cool.
And we put in some vanilla extract as well. And they're really yummy.
That does actually sound quite tasty.
And we also had a cognitive test going on where people could check their memory for their hippocampus. Okay, and we wanted to talk about the food that we ate on the podcast.
That was a really smooth, seamless segue into talking about curries, katsu curry,
Do you know
with
what?
a Korean twist.
Do you know what? I'm really starting to feel, you know how all these YouTube daily vloggers go insane and all their relationships break up because they feel the pressure to do something exciting for their vlogs? I'm understanding that for this intros of the podcast because they're getting more and more boring every time we record. And I feel like we need to do interesting things to captivate our audience. Anyway, we never talked about this before, but we have posted on the Instagram. Oh, we didn't take a picture, motherfucker. Anyway, you might be able to see this on the Instagram, but I made a Japanese katsu curry for everyone with kimchi.
And it was made with Korean katsu curry powder instead of Japanese katsu curry powder.
Well, it's Japanese, but from a Korean brand.
Yeah. So that was the Korean twist plus the kimchi.
Yeah. Okay, should we just talk to our guests? Yeah. We'll be more exciting next time.
Probably not, but we'll try.
Well, no, wait, we're both going on trips.
Oh yeah, we're both going away. Okay.
Oh yeah, we'll have loads to talk about next time.
We will. Yeah. Probably not good things, but anyway.
Right, okay. We're going to introduce our lay guest first. A little brief introduction, because our introductions I've noticed have been a bit shit recently, so let me be good this time. This guest I met properly when I was 10 and she was 12. I went to...
Good to know. Good to know. 2 years older than you.
Yeah.
Crucial information.
No,
you
1
must
year.
have been 11. Shh. Sorry.
Curry, you just said when I was 10 and she was 12.
Okay.
Count on your fingers.
When I was 11 and she was 12, that's
There
when
you
we
go.
met. And it was at an open day for secondary school, because we went to secondary school together. But then we found out that actually, technically, really, even though we have no memory of it, we've known each other since we were like 3. Because we went to the same nursery. And we would have been there at the same time, but obviously we just didn't know each other.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's cute.
So, yeah, this is my friend, Sophie!
Hi, Sophie.
Hey.
How are ya?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. My eyeballs, I want to scratch them out at the moment, but other than that, I'm great. So, what do you do?
Well, I'm a part-time student at music college. I play the clarinet, and when I'm not doing that, I have a job for a translation company.
Oh my god. What languages do you translate?
I'm employed to do Italian to English, but I do others as well when the needs be, basically.
That's so cool.
How many languages can you speak now?
To what level?
To working proficiency.
What does that mean?
As in, I could...
Use it professionally.
Yeah, so I don't need to
Oh.
be fluent, but I can, usually it means emails and stuff. Sometimes you don't even have to speak, you just need to be able to converse electronically.
okay.
But if there's any level of speaking, then it'll be Italian and Spanish. If it's just written, then I can do French. And I can read Portuguese, but I could not create Portuguese because it looks really
Create
Do you know what I mean though?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, yeah.
So I've heard people speaking Portuguese before, and I thought it was Russian.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it sounds
weren't
like-
you
it's
learning
crazy.
Russian?
Yeah, I still have a really basic understanding of Russian. I can read Cyrillic, but I can't really do much apart from identify words that actually are the same in English, but just are written in a
Do you know what's
different alphabet.
interesting? Because I was reading this stuff saying that there's this big link between musicians being good at languages, because because you have a keen sense
Same part of the brain.
hearing.
Yeah, it's all-
So because you're more in tune with hearing things, you tend to pick up languages better.
Interesting.
And I guess it's just that you can hear the difference. I don't know.
Yeah, I've thought a little bit about it, obviously. And so
Being that they're my two biggest passions, it has occurred to me.
I think they help each other because obviously I didn't actually do music while I was doing my undergraduate degree. And actually I think having spent so much time having to learn Italian, because I learned Italian from scratch at uni. I did Spanish A level, but learned Italian when I went to university. And you just have to live Italian for those 4 years. And obviously I went to Italy as well for my year abroad. And having to sort of pick that up and just be so finely in tune with what you're listening to, I think then helps music, because you actually have to think about sound production. It's completely different, but the sort of essence is the same. So
Also, I realised recently when we were talking to our Italian lab mate that I know loads of Italian words because of when I did music.
like forte.
Like crescendo,
Crescendo. What does that actually mean?
to get louder.
Well, that means that's what musically means.
Oh, I don't know. To
It
get
means
bigger.
growing.
Oh, there we go. I
Good
knew
Italian.
that. And forte,
What does that mean?
strong. I don't know. It's actually
Yeah.
yes.
See? But I mean, anyone who speaks English could deduce that, surely, no? Your forte, your strength, hello. I'm sorry. Am I going a bit hard? Sorry.
I'm very impressed.
I'm sorry, Curie. I'm sorry, don't cry. Oh, yeah.
No.
Please.
Get your dry ass hand away from me. Are we even now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So what's your relationship with science been like? Because I know at school you went into science.
I've heard of science. I believe in it.
Good.
I did GCSE, obviously, because you
Yeah.
had to.
Yeah.
I did double science. I liked chemistry in year 11, but at that point it was too late, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So I did not do any sciences or maths for A level. So it's been 10 years since I've seen a number.
Love it.
Yeah, science.
But do you find that you're interested in it now?
If you were on Facebook and some sort of, probably sensationalized reporting of some scientific study popped up, would you be like, oh, I'll read that? Or are you kind of no, let's leave
Oh yeah,
that
the thing
there?
is I have a massive appreciation for science. It's just too late for me to actually do it myself. And I think
Yeah.
other people are better qualified
Yeah.
in many
Yeah.
ways.
So it's the same shit that we pretty much say this every single episode. It's just something I think you become a lot more aware of and appreciate more as you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Right. And on that note, we also have this week we have a science guest. Woo!
That was a really shit drum roll. Let me do that again.
It's probably going to sound awful on the recording. I'll
Probably.
have to cut it out.
Sorry, guys.
So this guest is also one of my friends. We did our masters together.
He's my friend too.
Now he is.
Yeah.
You bonded over your backgrounds.
And the fact that he's heard my voice before.
Oh yeah, that too.
He's like, I feel like we're already friends. I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah. We weren't that friends in masters. I just gave him a nickname of Mr. Radio 4. And you'll know once he starts talking. And now
so awkward. It was so awkward.
Because anyway, and now
Wait, we don't have BBC Radio in Ireland. So what is Radio 4?
it's just a lot more highbrow, a lot more smooth voices.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted your
Yeah, and now we're on the
introduction.
same PhD program, and now we're great friends. This is my friend Yaz.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks
Is
for
it-
having me. Thanks for having me.
Can I ask, is Yaz short for anything?
It is. It's
What's
short
that?
for Yazid. Makes it much
Curious.
easier to find me on Facebook.
Okay.
So-
Wait, having Yaz or having Yazid?
Oh, having Yazid.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I was just like, which way is he going here?
Yeah. So Yaz is you're one of the people that I was said at the very beginning that we need to get this guy on the podcast. Not for anything else, apart from the fact that you have an amazing voice.
See how terrifying that is? Although I don't mean to blow my own trumpet, but people have actually said that to me before. I was working in a cafe, and someone who actually works with people who do audiobooks and stuff, she was like, oh my god.
You would have-
Oh my god,
your
you nearly
voice."
got scouted for
Yes.
an audio.
She gave me her card.
Oh my god.
And I totally ignored it.
You could be making millions. I don't know how much they
I
get
don't
paid.
think audiobook people get paid millions.
I think if you're famous and you do an audiobook,
You're
probably get
already
paid a
getting
lot.
paid millions.
Yeah, fair. Okay,
Got
okay,
nothing to
fine.
do with the audiobook.
Okay, fair. But you could be getting paid a small amount.
Much more than I'm
to do.
currently being paid.
Exactly.
But I mean,
Exactly.
I'm sure you must get it a lot though that you have a nice voice.
It's quite calming.
It's very smooth, yeah.
yeah.
To
like
be fair, it's polarized opinions. Some people say it's absolutely awful.
But is that because of the
Really?
accent
Like,
or the voice?
Who would? No, it's both.
doesn't the Northern Irish accent always get voted like the sexiest accent and stuff? No.
That's
think-
impossible.
I think it's
for
just it's not Scottish.
I heard that it was like a middle-aged woman Scottish voice was like the most comforting to listen to.
As if
I heard that.
I find
as
that
a
quite
fact.
jarring, actually.
To
as
be fair,
if
I would buy that. I would totally buy
Yeah,
that.
see?
I
Science.
actually do find it.
everyone does love Irish accents though.
But
We are
no,
kind of
no.
blessed.
The only
No.
thing is because your Northern Irish accent is quite gentle.
Okay.
Whereas it does jar, like really strong Northern Irish accents do jar me a tiny bit because everything is a question. Like everything goes up at the end, and that I find that quite that inflection quite irritating. Even in like just Northern accents in England, or any sort of accent where they go up at the end, I find that quite irritating.
Interesting.
Sorry to everyone that I've just offended.
You offend a new group of people in every episode. So it's okay. I think they're getting used to it. I always think that when people try and mimic my accent, it comes out sounding Northern Irish.
But I
That
think
is
Northern
incredible.
Irish.
They do. No, but I think someone told me that I think Northern Irish accents also, but Irish accents are really hard to do, apparently. So I think everyone just they're going where they think they need to go. But actually, they've taken the wrong turn off the roundabout and they're in a complete different direction.
But I think Northern Irish accents are just easier to do though.
Really?
Because you just need to be. I think you just need to be a bit more exaggerated in what you're trying to.
And
in
a
the
bit more-
If
accent
you
that
think you're going too far,
Inflectiony.
you're not. That's pretty much.
Maybe that's it, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you don't have a crazy
No,
strong accent
mine's not
either.
that strong.
Shall we go into the science then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready? I'm really sorry, I don't know where that I think it was because we were momentarily talking about Americans. So in my head I was like, American. And I don't know, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Okay, moving on. Swiftly.
I'm keeping that as a soundbite for everything. Every time I'm like, so should we talk about science? I'm gonna have you being like, are you ready?
I hope it sounds way shitter than it sounded in real life. And then you're not gonna want to keep it as a soundbite.
Are you okay?
No.
She's crying. With
Sorry, now I'm
laughter.
crying, guys. I'm crying.
Okay, let's talk some science.
Yeah.
So Yaz, tell us, what do you do? So maybe more, what was your journey into science, and a little bit about what you do or what you have done. This episode's going to be heavily animal based. If you don't like that, then leave.
You may want to switch off now.
Yeah. But if you're
Go make yourself a cup of tea.
But if you're ready to deal with the actual truth of science and where everything that you deal with in life has come from, then keep listening.
Jesus Christ. That was very intense.
Because it annoys me a little bit when people are like, oh, I really don't believe in animal testing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, do you take any sort of medication?
Yeah.
Do you take painkillers? Has some sort of medication saved your life? Has some sort of procedure saved your life? Then you should believe in animal testing. In science, not on like a cosmetic beauty
I don't
level.
believe in, well, although then I can't say that because I do use makeup brands that I think do animal testing.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's illegal in the EU now, isn't it? No?
Is it? Really?
Yeah, but no, I think maybe...
But then is it illegal
not
for
to
them
distribute.
Yeah, exactly. So they probably can't do it in the EU,
Yeah.
but they can probably... Anyway, moving on. So, your journey through science.
Okay, so first of all, before all of this science stuff began, I actually wanted to do medicine. Cause,
Didn't we all?
Yeah, I know.
Medicine, nothing to do with science.
I now realise that. So, do you know when you're going in for a hospital appointment or a checkup or whatever? I've got asthma, by the way, so I was just going in for a lung function test, and instead of using that as an right? Yeah, it's the...
Yeah,
you know.
I think every Irish person has asthma.
Probably.
Every Irish person.
Because you're
It's a
not...
thing.
Do you have a lot of factories in Ireland?
No, it's really damp. It's much damper than it is here. Like,
It
it's
rains
way
a lot.
wetter, yeah. But I honestly, and they have a thing about, is that one of those things that because apparently, I think it is the dampness. I think it's the climate. And then, like, there's a lot of soil. Don't know where that...
So just a lot
Comes
of
in.
dirt. Wet dirt
Yeah.
in Ireland.
Oh, and another reason to go into a bit of microbiome, you're going to give it to me now, but apparently they think that because loads of us breastfeeding wasn't heavily promoted until
we've
really
talked about this.
recently, so they think that that's after, that would have an impact on our immune systems, so that might be why we all have asthma.
Really?
I sound like I'm
Dying.
currently having an attack. Anyway, go on. You were doing your lung function test.
Yeah. The drug that I was currently taking at the time was salbutamol, and it was salbutamol I was taking, and the GP wanted to change me onto another drug. So as the potential budding medic, I wanted to know why, and he was like, "Don't worry, it's just a different concentration. There's no other side effects." And I'm like, "Yeah, but what does it actually do?" And he just kept on repeating the same answer over and over again.
Typical medic.
And that's when it hit me. He had absolutely no idea what the drug did. So this is when I went into like a bit of an early existential crisis.
Oh shit. How old were you?
I was about 17.
Oh,
So
that's
early.
early for an existential crisis.
I was like, I can't do medicine
Oh,
now.
man.
You know, I can't train to do something for so long and not know how drugs work. That's such a basic thing, right? And then I realised I didn't know how paracetamol worked. I didn't know how antibiotics worked. So that's what moved me into pharmacology, like learning how drugs actually work.
This is a good story.
Yeah, this is. I like it. You're a storyteller. I should take some tips. For the next time I want to tell you about my grocery shopping.
I bet you'd be able to make your 3-list boot shop really interesting.
We should put that as a challenge. I'm like, okay, anyway, go on.
Okay. So learning pharmacology in my undergrad, it was incredible the amount of stuff that they did for like toxicology, cancer research, like pharmacokinetics, like what happens when you actually take the drug and what your body does to the drug, as well as what the drug does to the body.
Because pharmacokinetic, would that be like literally moving the drug? Is that what that means?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Like how it distributes throughout the body and stuff. And I thought it was incredible. Like the one thing that they didn't really talk about that much was neuropharmacology, how the drugs interact with the brain. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I absolutely want to do this, but obviously you need to learn about the brain to be able
Is
to
this
do
what
that
you
right.
wrote in your personal statement?
What is the brain?
Great question. Curry, over to you.
Anyway.
I was actually waiting for an answer. I was like, what is the...
I'm not the only neuroscientist in the room, guys.
Yeah, but the other one can't speak.
But the other one is speaking.
Yep.
Okay, so you're now a pharmacologist and a neuroscientist.
Oh, we didn't get there yet. I'm
That's
sorry.
why
Yeah, we're getting to that part.
I'm sorry. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Spoiler, that's how I met Curie. Because I did the Masters of Neuroscience at King's College, and then I went into a PhD. So my science career first started with my undergrad looking at, it was basically cognition in addiction. So smoking, when you're going in through withdrawal of nicotine, you experience cognitive deficits. Hello? Yes.
Jinx. The reason why I chose our masters was because they had an addiction module.
Oh shit.
Like that was one of the specialist options because I did addiction as my project in my undergraduate, and I wanted to specialize in addiction. But obviously, I don't do addiction now. But yeah. Anyway.
Nice.
And just like Curie, I don't do addiction now. I do neurodegeneration.
Do you know what
which is a
turned
lot
me
more
off
fun.
addiction? When we were trying to pick our specialist modules, they took us on tours of all the buildings where the research is
addiction
done.
studies building.
And the addiction studies building was so grim and dark and horrible. Genuinely, that's the reason why I didn't pick that as my optional module.
There's some kind of irony in not wanting to go back to an addiction place, though, isn't there? Like,
Yeah. Interesting.
It was awful.
Is that over in the hospital?
No, it's on the main campus.
It is the worst.
It's
building
awful.
ever.
It's so horrible. And I was
Why?
like, I can't work. It's just really dark and dingy. I was like, I can't work in this building.
It's like a building from the 70s.
ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, in my undergrad, we had a building like that was built in the 70s, really ugly, really like just straight lines, like no architectural prowess whatsoever. And some of the other buildings where I went were so nice because they were really like old, and we used to call it Shutter Island. Because it literally looked like a place where you would go in and not come out again. That's how depressing it was.
God.
It was awful. Yeah.
This is a bit of a weird segue, but have any of you been to Durham before?
Durham?
Yeah.
No.
If you see the Students' Union in Durham University, it was built by the same architect as the Sydney Opera House. So you're thinking, this is
wow.
going to be beautiful, right?
Yeah.
It's literally just a culmination of boxes with chains hanging from it.
Oh my
It
God.
literally looks... Yeah, it looks horrible.
Very sadistic. We're getting distracted. Let's move
Okay.
on.
Where were we?
I've totally forgotten.
Oh, because you didn't want to work in the addiction centre.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So where did you go from there?
So,
You were like, oh my god, what am I going to do now? I wanted to do addiction.
well, I didn't. That's the only reason
That's
why.
exactly what you did.
In that voice as well.
That's what I thought.
But I actually came to King's wanting to do addiction, but my old supervisor gave me the most jarring advice. And I'm sorry, this is going to sound really horrible, but I'm literally just quoting him here.
Okay.
That he said, don't go into pharmacology and addiction because nobody wants to actually treat it. No pharmaceutical company wants to spend millions of pounds on a treatment for
druggies.
cocaine addiction for them just to relapse, overdose and die. Do something that will
That's
addiction.
so depressing.
Yeah. He was like,
That's
do
really sad.
do something that has more money in it.
But like, it's
cognitive
the same.
neuroscience
It's the same. It's
or
like
neurodegeneration.
it's that sense of like humans applying their own rules to justice systems, right? Because we don't want to help the druggies because we think, or we don't want to help the homeless because we think that they've put themselves there and there is their own fault. But we will help someone with cancer because it's not their fault, even though maybe that person was a smoker for 50 years of their life.
But there's such a huge genetic component to addiction.
It
And
is.
also social economic
But people don't know that.
situation. It really bothers me when people are like, oh, he's just an alco. And I'm just like, oof. No, you don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I get that with homeless when people are like, oh, why don't you just get a job, or it's their own fault they're there. I'm like, you don't know what's happened to them.
Yeah.
Like there could be people there are literally people that were super successful doctors that are now homeless because a family situation went wrong or something. Anyway, this went off topic.
God. Darkening the mood. massively. Thank God we've got gin and wine.
Maybe I should add to the disclaimer, if you don't like being depressed, also don't listen.
There's usually a few depressing moments in all of the podcasts these days.
Yeah, but
let's
it's
be honest.
usually us having a depressing moment.
Having like a freak out. This is interesting because this is part of Yaz's journey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is like the troubled bit before
Yeah.
it gets...
You're really
bad.
taking us through the emotions. Go on, continue.
So he advised me to go into cognitive neuroscience or neurodegeneration, and seeing as I didn't know anything about neurodegeneration, decided to go into that. And incidentally, I loved it. So I stayed on with my master's, did a project there, and then now I'm doing a PhD on Parkinson's disease and pain, a combination of the both.
Okay, I was going to say, they sound like different things.
That's what so many people thought before. Like, I'm sure you know Parkinson's disease, you see it as like a motor disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And mostly associated with tremor and rigidity, inability to initiate movements. But actually, decades before they experience those motor deficits, they experience other things, like a lot of other things, like gastrointestinal distress, loss of sense of smell, which I found quite...
That's really weird.
Yeah.
Isn't it really common that people who before... depression is a symptom, isn't it?
Yes.
Because isn't it that what they thought they thought Robin Williams had Parkinson's, or he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, but then when they did the post-mortem, they actually found out it was something else.
Oh.
It was like Lewy body dementia or something like that.
It's very closely related.
Yeah, but that they said that was where that was where they thought the depression. Well, maybe he had depression before that, but I remember hearing that. So is depression one of the precursors to, or no?
It's not always,
Okay.
but there is quite a large percentage of people with Parkinson's with depression, and that's kind of where the pain kind of links in. Because at an early sorry, I feel like a teacher. Like, yes, you at the back.
Yeah. It's interesting because we have a family friend who he has Parkinson's. He's family friends with my parents, and he was one of the. As a child, he was one of my favourite family friends because he was super, super lively and always like really nice to me and stuff. But then before, his motor symptoms are definitely there, but they're not that pronounced at the moment. He's just quite stooped and his posture's not good and he's quite weak. But he doesn't have the tremors, he doesn't have the classic Parkinson's symptoms. The most prominent thing we've noticed is his personality has completely changed. Like he's still very jokey, but he's very also subdued, which he didn't have before. And also he's in a lot of pain, which which is interesting because like he doesn't have the tremor that you would expect from someone with Parkinson's. Like that hasn't come yet. He does have tremors, but it's not that bad. It's not what you imagine Parkinson's to be. So it's interesting.
Did his mood deteriorate before or after he found out he had Parkinson's?
I'm not sure. I think it's getting worse as his Parkinson's is getting worse because it's like it's going along with the illness.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to be real, I'm so sorry.
It's alright.
God, that is awful.
I feel bad for his family.
Yeah.
Not a nice thing to see. Isn't that? No, I won't go there. Go on.
Well, now you have to go there.
You can edit
You
it
can
out.
cut this out though.
Yeah.
Isn't because like those. This sounds awful. Like not in the context of your because obviously you personally know this person, but not thinking in personal terms. But there's like a couple of things that there's really high rates of people going for the assisted suicide.
That's an ALS mostly. Yeah. So ALS has a huge rate of euthanasia, not so much with Parkinson's.
Really?
Is that what
Yeah.
Stephen...
Hawkins.
Yeah.
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 That was that one.
Yeah, but he's, because
He's
he's
quite a
super
rare
rich, he
case.
lived so long and did so
Also,
well.
he had like a really rare type of
Yeah.
ALS that wasn't as severe.
'Cause
Also, as horrible... Oh, sorry. keep
No, go on.
As horrible as it might sound, you will die from ALS.
Yeah.
Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, you don't die
And
from.
also, ALS deterioration is really quick. It can happen over a couple of years.
Yeah.
Whereas things like Parkinson's takes decades for you to
yeah.
deteriorate. Yeah. Did anyone watch that BBC documentary about the guy who had ALS? And you saw him from his diagnosis until the moment he went for euthanasia. And I think it was like an hour and a half documentary on BBC a few years ago. It might have been during our masters because a lot of people watched it. But oh my god,
Sounds intense.
literally about half an hour into this 1.5 hour documentary, that's when I started crying.
Oh,
And I did not stop until the end. It's a really good documentary because it's really real.
yeah.
What's it
'Cause-
called?
I don't know. I'll try and find out. But because in the beginning, it's kind of similar to my family friend. Like in the beginning, he's a super lively man, but then obviously because ALS is so quick, he deteriorates really, really quickly. And I think the documentary was like only a few years of his life, and then he goes for euthanasia at the end.
Jesus.
That's super sad.
Yeah, it's good though. It's very
So
good.
come prepared with tissues and chocolates.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Anyway,
So, back to the research journey.
We keep going into these like super depressing segues.
I feel like I need to crack jokes, but this is too depressing to crack jokes.
I'm sorry.
Parkinson's, haha, that's hilarious.
Yeah, ultimately, everyone in our lab has a really dark sense of humor as like a coping mechanism for all of
I feel
this
like you'd
stuff.
have to.
But then when you go out into the real world, people just think you're really messed up. So it's great.
It's like, why are you laughing?
But yeah, so one of the symptoms is the sensation of pain, which you said your friend experiences. So initially, it starts off as like, do you know when you hit your elbow up against the side of the table, you feel that burning sensation?
Oh, your funny bone.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that they experience.
I
all
hit
the
my
time.
funny bone earlier, and Yaz didn't say anything, whereas Demelza cared, and Yaz didn't.
This is what research in Parkinson's
Yaz
disease
deals with chronic pain. I can see why he didn't react.
I'm like, do you feel this all the time? Then you will not get sympathy. But they feel that burning sensation like at all points of their body, like night and day. It fluctuates with the medication that they take as well. And also, we were talking about this before with ants, that they experience this thing called formication, which comes,
That sounds dirty.
which is really horrible.
Wait,
Oh, I'm sorry. Take that back. I'm sorry.
Formication is the sensation of insects crawling on your skin.
Okay, I think I have that.
Really?
Yeah.
Permanently.
Legit. Like, okay, number one, I'm terrified of insects.
Okay.
Flying ones in particular. Because I think they're going to
Anything
land
with
on
more
me.
than 4 legs,
Yeah.
just can't deal with
No,
it.
oh God. So recently, when I'm lying in bed, I'll think that there's something crawling on me, and then I'll have to I'll tear off the duvet.
but is it
and
because...
there's nothing on me?
But
There's
no,
never anything on
But
me.
is that you just thinking that there's something there, or can you actually
I can feel
literally
it.
feel...
I can feel it.
But is it just one thing?
No, and for a while it's kind of stopped, and then when it's kind of stopped, I was like, I wonder was that because I was stressed.
Okay, I'm going to put this out there. I think this is an anxiety thing, not a neurological disorder.
Could be a ghost of a
Which
spider.
actually, okay, Demelza made hands at me. They are the same thing. But, you know what I mean. And not a neurodegenerative
I could
thing.
feel it though, and it wouldn't be just in one place. Like I'd be lying in bed at night and I'd feel it on my shoulder, and I'd pull my t-shirt down and I'd be and there'd be nothing there. And the next thing I'd feel it on my knee, and then I'd be and there'd be nothing there.
You know, every time I'm in it, sometimes these days with Alice, I learn a new layer of her. And it's so interesting. It explains so much.
Anyway, go on. I think I've experienced formication, but I'm sure they have it a lot worse than I do.
Well, it's not only Parkinson's
Yeah.
disease that they experience, it's multiple other things.
Okay.
But I think that's called central pain. So it progresses throughout the disease. So it starts off as potentially a lowered pain threshold, and the sensation of bugs crawling your skin, burning, tingling, and then it develops into much worse stuff. So their joints start hurting, and people have talked about that they get into a deep depression about it. They can't really sleep properly because they get that burning sensation on their face and their genitals, and it's really horrible.
Ugh.
And yeah,
It's like putting deep heat on your balls.
pretty much. That's exactly how I imagine it.
That's a curious imagine it too, because she's got balls.
I should not have sounded so excited about that.
You're oh my god, yeah.
But,
Okay, for us it would be like putting deep heat on our fanny lips.
Ugh. Okay.
I'm not going to say fanny lips ever again.
No,
I'm really sorry.
please don't.
I'm really sorry.
I mean, I saw your mouth forming the words, and I was like, no, she's not saying that.
I feel gross.
Okay, okay,
I take
moving
it,
on.
I take it back.
But it's so difficult to recover from that. But
So
yeah.
pain, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So modern analgesics and pain relieving compounds don't really work at all. So they just have to live with that pain. And the medication that they take for their Parkinson's disease, the motor symptoms, it actually worsens the pain that they feel, which is horrible. So my PhD is trying to understand why this is happening, and to potentially find a treatment for it.
So does this mean that the pain that they have with Parkinson's or say another neurodegenerative disorder where they get similar pain, it's not necessarily something that's to do with your pain receptors at all?
It's definitely not a peripheral thing. It's centrally acting, I think. Either that or it's in the spinal cord. But that's literally what my PhD is about.
So you'll be able to answer my question then.
Hopefully
in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
I think our guest may have questions.
I'll just try to think it all through. So, pain receptors, that's physical.
Yes,
like
this stuff in your skin.
But I thought that all pain was in your brain. It's just a reaction to the stuff that you feel. Is that?
That's true. That is very true for when you're actually being touched, like nociception. So the signal goes from your skin up to your spinal cord, and then your brain processes it.
And then you know it's pain.
Yeah. And then if you need to react, your muscles will start moving or whatever. But if there's a problem with that processing system in your spinal cord or your brain, then this sensation that you feel will be very different. So let me give you an example that hopefully you'll be able to relate to. You've had the flu before, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that sensation where when your joints
tingly
hurt,
pains, pins,
or like when you're putting on a jacket or whatever, it's kind of uncomfortable
when
you're putting it on. That sensation of it brushing up against your skin is normally, it's just you feel it touching your skin, but that's it. But the immune system sends out a lot of chemicals into the blood, and it causes your nerves to become hypersensitive. So when the chemicals interact with your nerves, the thresholds that they would reach when clothes normally touch you, it becomes a lot more sensitive. So they turn into signals that would become uncomfortable or painful. And that's the same thing that happens in Parkinson's, I think, that these pain areas in the brain become hypersensitive because of some reason. I don't know yet. I've got theories, but or hypotheses, but
Is it something they experience all the time, or does it come and go, or is that like a?
From what I've heard from patients, it fluctuates across the day and
Is that interesting?
I think it might be due to the medication that they take.
Okay.
Obviously, it's at the lowest point at the beginning of the day. Then they take their medication, and then it alleviates it somehow. And then during the end of the day, they also experience the pain more so again.
Okay.
So do you want to tell us about the work that you're actually doing?
Okay. So the work I do is primarily with rodents. So there's a type of neurotoxin that we inject in one side of the brain to induce the brain state that's seen in Parkinson's disease. So there's a certain area of the brain called the substantia nigra, which dies in Parkinson's disease, and this neurotoxin kills the cells of the substantia nigra when you inject it in. And that's what we use as a model for Parkinson's disease. So,
Is that why you did your disclaimer at the beginning?
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. I'm sorry if you found that uncomfortable.
No, it's fine. I was just like, I see.
It all makes sense now.
Just wait for it. It gets slightly worse. But after we've induced the lesion in the brain, or one side of the brain, we do nociceptive tests. So we basically take really thin fiber optic filaments and then apply it to the hind paws, and then see what thickness, which correlates with the weight applied, do they withdraw their paw. It's basically at what point they find it annoying enough to move their paw away.
So it's kind of testing their threshold.
Exactly. Yeah. We never actually test pain or suffering. We just test thresholds to see at what level they're at.
Okay.
And what I found, what we expected to see is on the opposite side of the body, we would see a reduced pain threshold, because you know that the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body and vice versa.
Is there a reason for that?
I was literally going to say that.
I mean, it's so asymmetrical. No, what's the word? I don't know, but I'm just like, it annoys me.
Impractical.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it like how you see things upside down, your brain turns it around?
Yeah.
That doesn't help, but...
I'm not... I know quite a lot of neurodevelopmental people, but I have absolutely no idea why that is.
Interesting. Okay, continue.
We definitely had lectures on this. It's like I can kind of see the lecture in my head,
Yeah.
but I can't explain it to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Maybe we'll bring on a neurodevelopmental person next.
That would be interesting. Do you
Yeah.
know any?
Probably.
We do.
Any
UCL.
new neurodevelopmental people out there? Holla
Holla.
at your girl.
What's wrong with you today?
I'm really hungry. This is what 5-2 does to me.
Yeah, Alice is having a fasting day
Yeah,
today.
it's fun. Except I ate loads of carrots, probably went way over my calories.
They were only small bits of carrot. You're okay.
It was probably all the sauce that was clinging to them though.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so we do multiple different types of nociceptive tests on them, and there's mechanical tests, which is just poking them. Then there's the heat test, which obviously you just plop them onto a hot plate.
Oh.
No.
Has
That
anyone-
sounds like you're gonna cook them.
I was gonna say, has anyone ever like left one on there too long? It's like
don't
crisp
do that.
toasty wrap.
No, don't tell us the answer.
No,
to
no, no.
that. Okay.
Legislation dictates that we can only leave them on there for 20 seconds maximum.
They're not
So
gonna
how
get-
hot is a hot plate?
It's 52 degrees Celsius.
Oh,
That's quite hot,
That's
isn't it?
hot. Yeah.
I mean,
I
a
mean,
sauna is like more than
That's
that.
not the same as like
I mean,
But
standing
it's
Because-
concentrated on your paws.
no, isn't. They're just like sitting on it. They're.
Okay.
They're just toasty.
But
Do
the,
they?
the second they start like flicking their paws or whatever, you take them off
Okay.
instantly. So
Not
don't
in
worry.
China.
Oh my god.
Where the hell did that come from?
They have much looser animal
Oh my god.
testing.
Did you see
Ooh.
that hot pot thing with the baby rat?
Yeah, that was
It
disgusting.
was so horrific.
Wait, this wasn't an experiment.
And then did you
No.
see the owner's response to it?
No.
Oh my god! Right, okay. So there's a story in China. This woman, she's pregnant. She went for hot pot with her friends, and they found a rat that had been cooked in their hot pot broth. And obviously she complained to the owner, and the owner was like, "Oh, we'll compensate you with this much money." I think it was like the equivalent of $2,000 or something, which is quite a lot. And it was like, "We'll give you this, and we'll obviously not." You don't pay for the food, blah blah. And then she was like, well, actually I'm pregnant and now I don't know what sort of diseases I've picked up. I need to get medical testing, so you need to pay me for that. And then he was like, okay, well, how about I give you this much money to get an abortion?
Oh my god! Wait, being serious or ripping the piss?
No, seriously.
Oh, fuck
Would
me.
you say that to someone with a pending lawsuit?
Oh
You know?
my god!
Yeah. Obviously she didn't go for the abortion.
I would hope not. Christ.
That is a horrific conclusion to that story.
Oh my god, I thought it was hilarious.
What a reaction.
Right? Like, I don't understand where your logic goes. Like, your head
No,
goes,
it's like, okay, well, let's get rid of the problem.
well, if you don't have baby, then you don't need to go to the hospital.
Abortions are cheaper. Oh god.
Mad, right?
Mother of God. Anyway, continue.
You're a rat on the hot plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flicking his paws.
So the one thing that I can't really understand is when I did the pain test, I expected to see it on the opposite side of where I lesioned the brain, but I saw mechanical and cold changes happening on both sides of the. Maybe I have, but I did.
I'm
Yuri!
sorry.
What an awful thing to say.
I
What
did-
year are you in, by the way?
I've just finished my first
Same
year.
as me.
Oh yes, and me.
So it's a high possibility.
Let's
I'm
not
just
give him another existential crisis.
The
How
thing
many
is-
rats does it take to get conclusions?
Are you going to say conclusive?
Yeah, I changed my mind halfway through. Like,
I
Love
think like the standard one for each experiment would be about 6. So 6 treated, 6 non-treated.
Okay.
So like
That's
12.
not that
We
many.
have- there's
I need to
a-
get 87 humans.
Yeah. There's a
Fucking
principle with animal research called the 3 R's.
Yeah.
So it's like reduce.
Reuse,
Not
recycle.
reuse.
What is it? Like,
Reduce.
it's basically saying you cause the least amount. You use the least amount of animals
Refine.
to get the most accurate answer possible, but you're using the
Okay.
least amount of money.
okay.
Replace.
Replace, yes. Thank you, Demelza.
Reduce, refine, replace.
A deep
Reduce, refine, replace.
Reduce, replace, refine.
Does it matter what order you say the 3 R's in?
Yes.
Why?
Because everything must have order.
Alice is being really weird today, guys. Normally, the past few episodes, it's been me that's having a weird moment. It's Alice today.
Yeah, so I just found a change on both sides. Other groups have confirmed this as well. But at the moment I can't explain it, and I'm trying to find out a reason why.
So it's not just you that's found this, it's a general...
Yeah.
How many
Interesting.
people are looking into this?
Small pockets. It's not really a big thing.
Is it like all over the world, or are there certain people like in
was
locations?
There was a conference in Boston last week that was just a pain conference, and there was, I think, 3 or 4 groups looking at this as well. So, yeah. Although I don't think anybody's really looking at why it's caused.
Just that it's happening.
Yeah.
Well, not that you know of, anyway.
True.
So they swoop in and
probably
publish a
completely-
paper that's your whole PhD project.
Yeah. Gone.
Like, oh, there's those 3 years down the drain.
No, and then you have to sit there and be like, how can I rehash my work to make it something else?
To make it novel.
How can I be
enough.
novel? Yeah. Okay, so I used 7 rats. Novel.
Oh
I'm having another existential crisis, guys.
I blame Curie. She triggered that.
It's because misery loves company.
Fair enough.
There you go. Okay,
Pee break.
bathroom time.
Okay, should we talk about your paper?
All right.
Which, you know what, I was like, yeah, where's your paper? And he was like, in my head.
Yeah, I was thinking. I was
What
like,
a
where is
fucking
this- is
show
he gonna
off.
just freestyle it?
Such
Do
a
people
smart ass.
actually...
Bring their papers.
Yeah.
Really?
I wanted a handout personally.
Oh my god.
So I'm assuming you have your PowerPoint presentation. and you slide.
I was actually going to tell you about work that's happening in our lab at the moment, and it's like super cutting edge, but they haven't published it yet.
Oh no.
So they're like, you can talk about it, but you can't actually mention anything. So I'm just like,
Just whisper it.
it's like, what is it? Articulate? And you just have to describe everything around
Doing
it.
charades. Just like
Pretty much, yes. But yeah, I will not be talking about that, so I've just decided to tease you on that.
Cool.
But-
Well, that's
Nice.
good.
That's the end of the podcast.
Nice.
Cheers, guys. Good night.
Well, that was shit, wasn't it? Never having him back on again.
But instead, I'm going to talk to you about cutting edge. I'm doing air quotes at the moment. The cutting edge treatment for Huntington's disease, which was recently discovered. By
Huntington's disease.
yeah, exactly. I know that look on your face is like, isn't that still a thing? And it's because it's still a thing.
Explain Huntington's disease to us there.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
When
So
I was-
Yaz does this weird thing, right?
this is always a great start to a sentence. I love it.
So I've been messaging him about the podcast and just in general life. And then to say okay, he'll send me the emoji that's the okay hands. Yeah. And then an emoji of a bird.
No, it's a pigeon head.
Okay, it's a pigeon head. And every
Like
time
it's
he
an
sends this
emoji.
to me, I'm looking at it like, what? And I'm there like, oh, see, Jamel's doing the same thing. I'll be there like, okay, birdie. Okay, birdie.
Okay, pigeon head.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I saw him earlier and I was like, why did you send that bird thing? And he was like, because it's funny.
It's like a pigeon
Love
with
it.
human hands.
No, it doesn't look like that though.
It looks like
No,
it.
it doesn't.
Okay, I'm going to show it to you. It looks like a pigeon with human hands.
A little bit.
You know what? If you hadn't said it, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Now you have.
That's the thing.
Now you have, I do see it.
I think it's cute, but if you hadn't
See,
told
it's
me.
hilarious. Even Demels is laughing
Yeah, but
about
Jamel's
it.
likes stupid humour. For someone so smart, she likes really stupid humour.
I take affront to that statement.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
I can't even... Oh yeah, Huntington's. So...
Well, I can't even remember how we got here.
It's his paper.
Do you use
Oh, we
pigeon
said
emojis
okie
in paper?
dokie, and
No,
then
no,
you
no.
went off on your pigeon rant.
for some reason.
I just need to share how weird it is.
I don't know where those things were connected, but anyway, Yaz.
Because it's his way of doing the okay thing. Anyway.
So I didn't actually know I had to explain this to
Girl.
someone before, but when I was explaining this paper to my brother, ranting about it during Christmas,
Oh yeah, I do that all the
Or
time.
do you
Yeah.
want some really fun family dinners?
Tons of
Scientific.
fun.
We all bring a paper to Christmas dinner.
I'm actually the only scientist in my family.
Yeah, but you have like a hella smart family, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But anyways, you know the way DNA is made up of C, A, G's, and T's.
Sure.
Okay,
That's a no.
DNA is made.
I've heard of DNA and I've heard it's made of things.
Right. Okay,
So the things are,
those things.
Why are they letters?
They stand for stuff.
they're bases.
Yeah.
Guanine,
Guanine,
cytosine.
cytosine,
They're like,
adenosine,
think of them as building blocks.
tyrosine.
So they're like the building
Yeah,
blocks
I
of
get
DNA.
like the concept. I just don't really understand what they are.
They're
Are they
just-
protein?
No,
I
they're,
thought everything was protein.
they're
Nucleic
like
acids?
Yeah, they're like little acidic bases. Wait, does that make any sense?
No.
They're like,
They're acids.
yeah.
They're
So
little
are they
acids.
solid?
No,
They're-
they're bases. They're nucleotide bases.
Yeah, they're bases.
And then they've got
Oh,
the...
yeah.
Yeah, they're bases.
Okay, sorry guys. I'll just leave the room. Apologies.
So, bottom line, they're just molecules that have specific names based on their structure.
Sure.
And they link up together in a ladder, and they've got corresponding... Do you know the way DNA is made up of 2 strands?
Mm-hmm.
They've got corresponding things.
Why couldn't you just explain that in the first place?
I
That was a
know.
great explanation.
Well, because I didn't think of it, Curie. Okay?
Okay.
I think my earliest like idea of what DNA looks like comes from Dexter's Lab. You know that cartoon.
I never
Isn't
watched
that
it.
such an
That was
amazing
such a good
cartoon?
cartoon.
It's really
I
good.
never had
It's really
Cartoon
good.
Network growing up.
Oh my god, you missed out.
Or
You
Nickelodeon.
could YouTube
No.
it. You should watch it. It's science.
Did you have a Korean TV channel?
No, I just had BBC's 1, 2, 3, Channel 4 and Channel 5.
Oh.
Oh no, BBC 1, 2, ITV, Channel... Did you not even have Channel 5? All the naughty stuff was on Channel 5.
So DNA.
So, it's made up of each of those little... DNA is basically a code of all of those letters strung together. And if something goes wrong in that code, then the proteins that are produced from them are messed up. So, in Huntington's disease, there is a repeat section in the gene called Huntington of CAG. It just constantly repeats itself over and over and over again.
Okay.
And this causes the protein to become... We actually don't know really how it's neurotoxic, but it basically causes the protein to become sticky, and then it forms aggregates in the brain that are neurotoxic, we think. There's a lot of unknowns, and that's the reason why I love neuroscience. Because
That's
you
cool.
can be, like, unsure about it, but it's fine because nobody knows, really.
So your thing, PhD, our
Mhm.
thing, is on
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's. So how did you get to Huntington's?
It's a movement disorder. So
I see.
the clinical symptoms of Huntington's is called like Huntington's chorea, which comes from the Greek word for dance. So when you see someone with Huntington's, they've got a lot of ballistic arm movements, which is kind of like the opposite side of Parkinson's disease, where you have the inability to move. Huntington's is the inability to stop a movement. It's the same general brain region that's affected.
I have no image in my head of what like a stereotypical Huntington's person is, because you know you've got that like stereotypical offensive someone with Parkinson's is like tremoring
Tremor.
or whatever. I don't have one of Huntington's. Maybe we should make fun of Huntington's more so everyone's more aware of it.
That would
Such a
not be
given.
the thought process that I would come up with. But okay.
But it literally looks like someone's faking it. So there was this huge news coverage on this novel treatment for Huntington's disease, and they've basically said that they found a cure for it. So every time you hear that, you absolutely know it's bullshit. Because they said that it's not only for Huntington's disease, it's for all diseases.
Oh, fuck off.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So
Rub a crystal on your forehead. You're cured.
but the best thing was that I was
I hate
going to a
crystal people.
conference
Fucking crystal.
where, oh my god, I was staying
Except
at
for
someone's...
Spencer Pratt, because he's a...
I was staying at someone's house yesterday, and they actually had crystals on the corners of their
Did
beds.
they let you touch
Stop.
them? Because sometimes crystal people don't let you touch their crystals because you'll pass your energy onto their crystals, and then they have to cleanse their crystals because the crystals absorb all your energy.
Well, I touched them a lot. So,
Oh,
So you sound like you're making fun, but I could totally see you getting into that for like a
No.
week.
not even a week.
Absolutely not. Maybe like back in the days, but
Yeah.
absolutely not.
When we used to go to Camden and buy shit.
Yeah, like crystals. The thing is, and like I would have gotten into them because they're pretty, not because I actually believe that they're going to give me this creative energy.
Yeah,
Fucking
fair.
crystals. Crystal people. So stupid.
Except for Spencer Pratt. I love it. Have you ever seen him? He's got fucking massive crystals. And he posted on his Instagram. And like the crystal's about the size of a baby. And he's just literally holding it to his forehead like,
Anyway.
go on.
I have such difficulty remembering where I was at after
I'm
these
sorry.
segues.
They found the cure for everything, which
Cure.
can't be true.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
The best thing about this was that after I'd read the article, I was going to a conference at Westminster, and she was presenting it, which was perfect because it was
Oh
like,
my god,
okay,
is
great.
it really? I totally gender biased this. I thought it was going to be a man.
Isn't that the
You
world we
always
live
think it's gonna be a man.
That's true.
in? So, main idea is, you know, when DNA gets converted into a protein, there's a bit of an intermediary step, which is called messenger RNA, which is basically just the opposite sequence of what's seen on the DNA, so it can produce a protein. Does that make sense? Is there a better way of explaining that?
Sophie's face clearly says that does not make sense.
Yeah.
All I thought was like that thing where every action has an equal opposite reaction. Is there anything to do with that at all? That's the only like connection my brain made to anything I've ever heard before.
Unfortunately not.
Okay, well,
Okay, so I'm going to explain this as best I can.
You can do it.
So
Go,
DNA,
Yaz.
DNA has double strands, right?
Double strands.
So when you need to create a protein from that code, the DNA unravels onto separate strands. So that means things can read what the code is, right? We still with me?
yeah.
So so in order to read it, it needs to create this intermediate messenger molecule called messenger RNA. So it reads the code and then it creates the opposite of the code, because I think it's G's and C's match up together and A's and T's match up together. So when you're reading a C on the DNA, on the
RNA.
on the RNA, it reads as a T. For simplicity,
Yeah.
I'm going to say
don't,
T.
Don't start talking about yous.
Okay. For all scientists hearing, I know it's uracil, not thymine, but we'll just say for the simplicity's sake, it's a T. It just uses another
T and U, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything to
T
me.
and U.
Like,
T and U. are
you call it what you like.
interchangeable.
Like,
Okay, if it reads a G, it'll come up with a C on the RNA, and then from that messenger RNA, you can produce proteins from that.
So it's kind of like there's like this one master blueprint, which is your DNA, and every time you need to make a protein, it like unravels, and then these little worker people come in and like write down what it says, and then it ravels again, and then they go off, and they're able to make it into a protein.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
I like that. I understand worker men.
You did your job, or my job, better than me. Well done. So,
I do love analogies.
This is where it gets slightly more complicated.
But I'll let you.
So the treatment of this is, you know, the way I said that the DNA constantly has CAG repeats found in it. So what they were thinking of doing was creating a molecule that binds to the worker men, preventing them from.
I'm sorry, I was doing it fast. I could have thought of something better than that.
So you want to stop the worker men from doing their job?
by producing the protein
shit.
with the multiple CAGs in it.
Okay.
So this sounds
So the map is fucked up.
yeah, pretty much for the mutant gene. So that means it doesn't produce the mutated gene and doesn't cause neurotoxicity and doesn't destroy the cells. Right?
When the map was being printed, there was like a little blip
There
of
was a
ink.
typo
Yeah.
in the master map.
Oh, you don't want that.
Yeah.
And that's like the root of a lot of genetic disorders. There'll
Yeah.
be a typo in the master map.
Yeah.
And that's how they come about.
Cool.
So by preventing the workers from working, you prevent the misprint. What are we calling it?
Blueprint.
The like
The typo.
The typo.
Yeah.
we prevent the typo from getting out into the...
So it's
being
like if
turned
it's
into-
like if it was a newspaper, it just doesn't go to production.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You are a scientist. Well done. Here's your PhD.
Thank you.
So, yeah, that drug is the compound that prevents it from going into print. And you'd think that this is a really novel idea, right? Like, no one's ever done this before, but it's actually been done about 1 million times.
Has
Give
it
or
worked
take.
any of those times?
It has worked to an extent, but the problem is when you want to treat a condition of the brain, it's getting it into the brain. Because as much as we think of it as part of the body, it's actually got it's called the blood-brain barrier, which separates things in the blood and the brain and keeps a very distinct border between the both of them.
I have a friend who works in pharmacology, but she works at the very last stage. I think because she did her master's in like medical statistics, and so I think she works at a stage where it's like getting the drugs out. She doesn't actually work on the drugs themselves,
Okay.
but she has degrees in like this is Laura, if you know Laura, doesn't matter. She has a
Surely
degree
does
in
not know
chemistry.
Laura.
Blonde girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said that she told me once that there's actually like cures for loads and loads of stuff, and the issue is just getting it into people.
Absolutely.
The issue isn't that we don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the
Okay.
pharmacokinetics thing I was telling you about.
I see.
Like actually diffusing it into different parts of the body. And annoyingly, if it's something that can get into the brain, it often has like unwanted side effects. But anyways, segue.
But actually, there's quite a lot of cool work going on of groups that are trying to they try to build an artificial blood-brain barrier to then
Use it as a model.
to test their drugs. Yeah, it's quite cool. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in blood-brain barrier.
And also,
The BBB.
BBB.
that's literally what we call it.
Yeah.
But we use ultrasounds, also breaks the blood-brain barrier slightly, so you can actually pass drugs through by doing that, which is great.
But would you have to do an ultrasound of their head?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like apply like jelly?
Yeah.
Can the ultrasound get through the skull?
I don't know.
What is an ultrasound actually?
It's literally sound waves.
Yeah.
And you get the bounce back, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it will travel. It travels through different tissues differently. I think.
Oh, cool.
I think it gets absorbed by liquids, and then anything solid. I don't know.
I actually don't know. I don't know. I did do an imaging module, but this was about 4 years ago. So let's move on.
So the main issue was getting it through the blood-brain barrier, and this group, this is what they've done, which is novel. Like we were talking about before, when someone's discovered something and you try to modify what your discovery is just to make it seem new. And this is what really bothered me. So what they've done on a basic level is that they've introduced the drug into the spinal cord of primates using a 6-inch needle. So they injected the drug, I think, once every week for a couple of months into the spines of these primates, and they wanted to see how it penetrated into the brain and to see if it was potentially effective. So they said in the outer part of the brain, all great, in certain areas of the brain, all perfect, but there was this one area called the basoganglia, which it didn't really have that much penetrance. It wasn't that great in that area, but she moved on quite quickly from that topic. But the basoganglia is the area of the brain that's affected in Huntington's disease.
That's very
So it's
cheeky.
like underhanded. And she also, like these primates, I think they were using a model of Huntington's disease. And I don't know what that model is. Little up in front for you. But she did say that it reduced mutant Huntingtons. But she'd never said if it alleviated the symptoms that they develop, which is also a huge thing that I'm like, does it? Does it actually do what you're proposing that it does? Yes, it reduces the mutant Huntington, but does it do anything else?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where they report the physiological effect, but if it has no effect, if they don't report the symptom, like any direct effects on symptoms, then it's like, but it does this, but is it useful?
Yeah.
Because it's also one of those things where, like, I wonder if you have a disease like Huntington's, are you really fussed about curing your Huntington's, or are you really fussed about
your symptoms,
Your symptoms.
and your quality of life.
Yeah.
It's all about quality of life, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Like that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
The pain.
That I'm not trying to prevent the onset of Parkinson's disease. I'm trying to make their quality of life better. And hopefully that will make us understand what's actually happening in the Parkinson brain. But anyways, she was talking about how this new drug was going to go into clinical trials and that they're testing in humans. So they went through the first 2 stages, which was it's perfectly safe, it doesn't kill humans at varying doses. But this was still injecting it into the spinal cord multiple times, which... I'm not sure about you, but having something inserted into my spinal column is not something I want to have done to me.
They do for an epidural.
I was going to say, it's an epidural.
Yeah, spinal tap.
But imagine doing
It's
that.
supposed to be really painful.
like once a week.
No, it's,
Well, that's
yeah,
the
it's
thing.
supposed to be super painful.
And it's going to be super high risk as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can get really bad infections.
And, you know,
And then
paralysed.
to your brain.
Yeah, if it's someone who's not that experienced
Yeah.
doing it.
Also, how much money will the healthcare system have to spend to bring these people in on a weekly basis to deliver this drug and then care for them, check up on their symptoms, monitor their progress? It's not...
But I mean, that's even going a bit too far. We don't even know if it's effective
If
or
it's
not.
going to do anything, yeah.
And they're publishing it as we've found a potential cure, and this will change the lives of Huntington patients and their families.
Why are they allowed to do that if it doesn't seem to pass any kind of standard testing? I don't
As
know.
horrible as it sounds, because it sells papers, and it's kind of something that the public would love to read about.
Clickbait.
Yeah.
Science version.
Pretty much. And
Cool.
that's, kind of disillusioning, but yeah.
Because thing is, there's a lot of stuff as well. So like, if you actually read into things like that are in the news, it wouldn't be sexy if you say to a member of the public, "Oh, this is really cool because we've changed this one tiny molecule in this one tiny part of your body."
That might do this.
Yeah, it's just
But-
not sexy.
I find
we're
that
unsure.
cool. I'm like, oh, which molecule?
And then you'd be like, "Wait, what's a molecule?"
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah. Whereas if you say to someone, "We've changed this one tiny part of your brain, but this could then change the whole of the Huntington's disease."
You'll be rich and famous afterwards.
Yeah, and that's sexy. That's what people want to hear. And unfortunately, with science journals, as much as people try to keep their integrity, it's still a business. It's still a publishing business. If they can get this big headline in for them as well.
Does it actually matter? Like, if this paper doesn't actually do anything and these drugs don't actually do anything, then overall, will it just go to the sort of history of papers and no one's actually damaged by it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually do any harm, apart from a few people who have hope that maybe shouldn't. I don't know. Is that fair?
I think it gets really dangerous. Like, if you go down the road of because I can make up my data
Yeah.
and say that it's
yeah.
doing this, but it's like, if Parkinson patients actually have the hope that this drug will work, and it absolutely doesn't, and it doesn't, then it's kind of unethical, right?
That sounds very unethical.
Yeah, it's
And
kind of
also,
horrible.
I think there's if they put this big focus on this one thing that's working really well, then all these other Huntington's groups are going to start researching that thing, whereas maybe the real answer is being ignored.
I mean, I feel like if it does have a clinical effect, then yeah, this will be great, but you absolutely need to think of another way. Like, if you're listening to this podcast, please find another way.
I really hope you're not listening to this podcast. But I mean, yeah, I think that's everything, though, right? Like, we find this one thing, and then it's like, oh, this is it, this is the cure, because that's what people want. People want a cure, but it's never going to be as simple as.
Do people actually believe it though? Like, when someone's like, "Oh, we've got a cure," do people actually think, "Oh, it's going to cure me," or do they think, "Oh, well, maybe there's some kind of research going on"?
I reckon most of the general public are stupid enough to believe it.
Or I wouldn't say stupidity.
And another group of people we've offended. Everyone.
Okay.
Everyone.
I think people who don't know anything about. Let me rephrase. I think people that aren't clued into science.
My mother being one of them.
Not necessarily science, but people. I think people are very quick to believe things. The thing is, if you don't know how things work, and then I don't want to. If you're less educated,
Oof.
but the thing is, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Say it, and then we'll.
If you don't know how everything works, and if you don't know how things get blown up in the papers, or if you don't know how, say, drug discovery works, then
if you're less critical of what you're told,
and then you see a headline saying they found a cure for Huntingtons, and you don't actually know anything about the process that goes behind that, then I think you can 100% people will be like, I believe it. They found, oh my God, guys, they found this cure for Huntingtons. And unfortunately, I think it's a very big percentage of people that won't understand everything that goes into bringing up that goes behind these headlines. And therefore, there's a big percentage that will be like, oh shit, guys, oh my God, I just saw this thing on my Facebook timeline that says they found a cure for Huntingtons.
I can't imagine people who Twitter that actually talk about Huntingtons at the same time though, do you know what I mean? Like
Okay, fine, I'll be like, oh shit, guys, they found this cure for this brain disease.
Yeah, fair.
There you go.
I don't know, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as least offensive as possible by calling everyone stupid.
I like how hard you had to try.
But I don't know, because I think if I saw something, say there was some sort of physics headline, and I know fuck all about physics, right? Say it was like something to do with space, and I don't know that much about space. I think that I would, and it was something cool, I think I would be quite quick to be like, oh my God, guys, look at this headline, it's really
Shit,
cool.
we can move to Jupiter.
Yeah, or something. I don't know, because I don't know any of the thing that goes behind that.
No. And I think it might be as well the belief that science, people think there's nothing creative about science and that it's fact.
Yeah.
So if they read something that's published, I feel like it's probably more likely that if you're not a scientist or if you're not in science in that field, that you're like, oh well, if it's gotten published it must be fact.
Yeah.
Whereas there's nothing is a fact. It's really hard to make something a fact.
But I think this goes with anything. I think with science maybe it's a little bit more because people think that everything that they see in science is a fact. But let's take your field, for example. Let's take music.
Sure.
If someone who is a music professional at some sort of high level was trying to explain something to me in their music, but it's just this broad sweeping statement about this one piece of music, and they're telling me all these technical things that I think sounds really cool, I'm going to be very quick to I won't be like, oh yeah, they're obviously 100% right, but I'm going to be a lot more willing to believe them and just take their word for it. Exactly, because I don't know anything else about it.
Fair.
And I think that's the same with science, except with science, people are like, oh, science is an objective thing.
And life is actually a bit more sort of, dare I say this to the arts people, but new music doesn't actually cure anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas people who are told, oh, we're going to cure your ailment.
Yeah.
Music helps people, but not like that.
Yeah.
So it's sort of if you don't understand the intricacies of, I don't know, the
clarinet
clarinet
process. The clarinet.
The clarinet, whatever. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking stuff, guys.
I think this has been the most highbrow episode we've ever done. There's some serious...
There wasn't a lot of swearing.
No, and there was actually some really serious discussions in this episode.
I enjoyed it though.
Me too. I didn't call it... listen, I'm stupid. I'm stupid in something.
It was highbrow but also extremely offensive.
That's what we're about here. I feel like that can sum up
Curie,
this
every
podcast.
time Curie felt like it was getting too highbrow, she was like, let's bring the tone down. Who am I going to offend now? Okay, people in Huntington.
No,
Here we go.
The thing is, I sat there and said, yeah, everyone's stupid. But also, I think everyone...
It came from a good place.
Yeah, and it's, no, it didn't. I was being a dickhead. But also, everyone is stupid in something, right? Everyone is stupid in something.
I think stupid is just the wrong word to use.
Yeah, I think stupid is the problem.
It's like saying you've tried really hard and you just can't do it.
I tried to say uneducated and you said that wasn't okay either.
Ignorant.
Okay, ignorant. There we go.
Maybe
Fine.
be even better.
Okay.
Yeah, ignorant is uninformed.
Okay, uninformed. Uninformed is a great word. Okay, everyone is uninformed in something, and if you're uninformed about this, then that's when you start believing these clickbait headlines.
Mic drop.
Uninformed is a great word.
You're welcome.
I'll replace from now on. I will always replace stupid with uninformed.
Please do.
Unless someone annoys me.
And then there's stupid.
Yeah. But some people are genuinely stupid. Just put it
It's like you just can't live on the
the
world
cast of
you
Love
have to
Island.
keep digging your hole, and you're just not safe up here.
It's boring. Living life on
So
the edge,
boring.
guys.
Living life in the hole. Digging in the hole.
Yeah. So, yes, okay. So, just final thing about that paper.
Mm-hmm.
So then what do you think should be the next step?
Shit.
Oh!
Stumped him.
In Parkinson's disease? Please God, say Parkinson's.
Okay, fine. Okay, let's say this sort of thing came out in Parkinson's.
Yeah.
What would then, in your mind, should be the next step?
The
We're
thing
not
is-
testing you here, don't worry.
No, I'm actually trying to think of an
There's
answer.
not much you can say that sounds more stupid than other things we've ever said on any other episode.
Fair.
But this is your only time you're
I know,
here,
right?
so
This
it's like-
is actually
He's
going
like,
out
let's
to
make
the
it
public.
chill. And then straight in with the butt. This is your only chance.
There's a potential that neuroinflammation is exacerbating the pain in Parkinson's disease. So remember the when you have a flu type situation, kind of like that, but in the brain. So I'm going to look at seeing if those proteins and molecules that are released by immune cells cause hypersensitivity in the brain regions. But I'm kind of hoping that's not it, because it's a nightmare to treat pharmacologically. So, honestly, answer is that I don't know. I'm going to find out. Or I won't.
Either way, you'll get a PhD.
Yeah. No result. Wait, negative data is not no data.
There you go.
That's true.
Nice.
Okay.
It's still a result.
Yeah.
Quick, before we end. Oh, actually, hang on. Did you enjoy that?
No. Yes, I did.
Cool. So, CoFresh.
No, we've given up on CoFresh.
Oh,
We
Viennata. HB. McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, McDonald's.
We also want Morgan Freeman.
Oh, we need to go down. We need to go less big than McDonald's. Or, in other words, smaller.
Oh, so, here we go. Actually, no.
Wait, hang on. We've just jumped to sponsors. Can we finish the conversation with our guest?
I just want to go to bed.
Anyway, okay. Thank you both for coming on.
Thanks for having
You're
us.
welcome, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I should have done
Fucking
that.
hell. You're having a right moment today.
Thank you for coming on.
I don't think you should fast on recording days anymore.
I'm not supposed to, but we keep moving into Monday. I can't help it.
That's true. The next one's on Tuesday, don't we?
Yeah.
Did you learn some stuff?
Yes. I couldn't tell you what any of it was. But yes.
Do you know how DNA works?
Yeah, I think I learnt the most about DNA because I think that's the most sort of explanations we went into. The rest of it, I sort of got as we were going along, but you know, when it just leaves you a second, it's over.
Ah.
Yeah.
The majority of our masters, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's cool. Don't talk about a lot of science at music college.
But I mean, there's a lot of, I think the arts and science are very intertwined.
And there's a lot of music that goes into like brain things.
Yeah, for like
music
therapy and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Super interesting.
I'm not really that helpful. I just play clarinet to myself.
You play in the orchestra?
I play in all sorts of things. I actually do sometimes even get paid to do gigs. I know.
wow.
I know.
Well done.
Thank you.
I wish I get paid to do something that I like enjoyed.
We will get paid for it soon.
I don't enjoy it though.
No, the podcast.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, anyway, I do enjoy it.
That's not what I even thought you were earning about. I thought it was about the money.
Oh yeah. But
Alice, do you even want to be here?
I do. I love it. I'm
I'd like a handout,
I haven't
though.
stopped laughing in like half an hour.
You're laughing at yourself.
I know. Yeah, it's so funny.
You should do handouts though.
laughing more than
I think
I
you should
am.
get. I want a handout so I can go away and be like, what did I just do?
Oh, Curie,
That's the blog.
you should sort that out.
That's the blog.
Oh yeah, there you go.
We have a blog.
I do.
Yeah. So, which leads us nicely. Well, Yaz, thank you also for coming on.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Will you stop bugging me about coming on the podcast now?
Yes.
I'm
For
gonna
a couple of weeks, and then you'll be like, "When am I coming on the podcast again?"
I'm gonna have to edit you quite a lot.
Can I be like a
To
permanent
make you
feature?
louder.
Oh,
Like
okay.
those permanent.
Work on
like,
that for next time.
faces
I'm really quiet.
Project
on
that
quiz
voice.
shows.
Okay.
Maybe.
It's the.
You can definitely come back.
You're low.
Yeah.
You're very quiet. I didn't realise how quiet you were actually.
Neither do I. Well, obviously.
I feel like though your voice does have power. Like you could be loud if you wanted to.
It's like you've got all the undertones without as many overtones as other people.
I think I'm just a really lazy speaker.
Just
I think
chill.
that's it, you know? Because, like, speaking loudly actually requires me to put in effort.
That's true.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so. You go.
I feel like I'm really seeing an insight into how I've been in the past few episodes.
I actually, and you kept saying it, but I was like, no, I'm not being that weird. It's fine. Am I being that weird?
Yeah. I think this is how I've been.
Oh God,
And
sorry.
it's not a pretty sight.
Okay. Are my eyes still streaming?
No, they're okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so, okay, who's slightly lower than McDonald's? Wimpy. Wimpy, if you'd like to sponsor us.
What the fuck is Wimpy?
This is definitely going to work
I actually
out.
do not know what Wimpy is.
It's another fast food burger chain, but it's...
Oh no, gross!
Old
No,
school.
no, no.
Oh, you don't
no.
like beef. Morley's.
What the fuck is Morley's?
It's a fried chicken place, but it's like the staple of South London. Oh, all of
Is
London?
it?
South London.
South London. South London.
That's what you said it a minute ago.
Anywho, Morley's, if you want to fancy us, if you want to sponsor us, or... Okay.
So I went for the cheaper gin.
If you'd like to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, you can do on @layoutpodcast. We're really sorry how much this highbrow episode has devolved into a disaster. A disaster.
I don't know why you're surprised, considering we were never highbrow before this episode.
But this was such a good one.
You were like, I thought we were raising the tone. But no. So if you would like to follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
I just said that.
If you would like to read our blog written by beautiful Simon DeMel.
Which works as the handout.
Cool.
Works as the handout. If you'd like a handout, you can read our blog on
Lay it out.
podcast.wordpress.com.
Or you can email us. Oh, email. Email. I have an email. We need to read out our email. So.
Can I read it out?
Yeah, if you want.
From Natalie.
Yeah, hang
Oh,
on. So from our misophonia episode, I'm sure if you've listened to it, you'll know that it was recommended to us by my friend Natalie, who she wanted us to do it because she has misophonia, and she's emailed us trying to help sort of add to the conversation on misophonia, which our beautiful guest Sophie is going to read out.
Okay. Hello, friends.
Start with the title.
Pod to pod, the beginnings of my misophonia. Hello, friends. It's your friend Natalie from the Danalysis Fantasy Football Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for discussing the study on misophonia that I recommended. It was indeed highly enjoyable. I wanted to give y'all a little more background on my misophonia in particular. When I first read about the condition, there was an article that suggested triggers are learned when young and often linked to bad experiences. I was immediately able to pin this down to the sound of my parents' breathing when she used to do my hair when I was small. A pretty traumatic experience for all involved. Unfortunately, my triggers aren't limited to eating, drinking, breathing. They also include coughing, sniffing, scratching, repetitive hole punching / stapling, okay hun, clicking and tapping. One of my worst triggers is anyone around me picking at the sides of their fingernails. That in particular triggers me, even if I can't hear it, and I just know that it's happening close to me. I hope this is handy, and thanks for making more people aware that misophonia isn't just a case of us misophonics overreacting for fun. Keep up the good work. XOXL, Gossip Girl, brackets, aka Natalie from the Danalysis Fantasy Football Podcast.
So,
Whoop whoop.
thank you for that, Natalie. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
It was great.
Yeah, and it's nice to know, you know, it was one of the things that we were talking about as well, sort of, you know, is misophonia a trigger or a consequence, or, you know, so I think we have one experience there. If you'd like to email us your experiences of something that we talk about, then you can email us on layoutpodcast@gmail.com. Bye!
Goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
So it was sad to see. You go. And it's over.
Oh, that was a weird... Because the reason, the one I want,